Welcome to the play ratings. Today, Louis and I will do our best to pick apart the Palace 1, Arsenal 5. Yes, 5 game at Selhurst Park. Before we get into the ratings, please remember again to like, subscribe. We really appreciate everyone's support, getting involved in the streams. Yesterday, Hambo and Tim did a what's the one I'm looking for? Match reaction. I was going to say something else, but to the Arsenal game. So you want to check that out if you've got the guts to check that out. We appreciate that. Give that a like. But Louis, let's talk about before we get into the ratings. You have any thoughts about? And I don't want to that because that's separate.
Say that again, sorry, Pat.
Your thoughts on the match?
Well, I predicted 3-1 loss, but like I said in the preview, I was not confident at all. Mainly to do with the fatigue. I thought he would ring the changes. He didn't really ring the changes much. Richards came in, but that was on my bit of a disaster. We lost that breaking up the back three plus no Munoz. We looked a bit chaotic in our own box. Although Richards wasn't terrible on a personal basis, like his performance wasn't the worst, but I just think the breaking up of the back five and the fatigue and the midfield too, it was a bit all over the place of defending.
Yeah, definitely a day for perspective as opposed to having a meltdown. But let's go through it. So we'll start with Dean Henderson. I will go first. I gave him a 3. Conceded 5 goals, made 1 save. And though I don't want to blame him for that disaster as a defensive, as a group, I thought he could have done better on the Jesus second goal, the one from the corner when he hit it, got beat near post. You shouldn't get beat near post as a goalkeeper. And on the Rice goal, but I think the Rice goal was a really good shot because he kind of bent it around the quad. But if you give up 5 goals and make 1 save in a match, I mean, I don't know what else to say, but what are your thoughts on Dean Henderson?
Yeah, it was a horrible match for him. Couldn't do much about the goals. Even though he got beat at his near post, it was still a good finish by Jesus. I don't know why he was on the edge of the box by himself, too worried about the first contact from the corners and not worrying. Arsenal get a lot of goals, not from the first contact, but winning the second balls. You see that quite a lot. Back post and headed back across or rebounds off the keeper. So, yeah, we wasn't alert. And like I said, I just think we were mentally tired as well as physically tired. Wasn't switched on enough. And, we didn't really protect Dean Henderson. But, yeah, three's the highest he can get.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll go to Tyreek Mitchell. We both gave him a 3. So why don't you go first on Tyreek Mitchell yesterday?
So the only reason he got a 3 from me was the assist. Other than that, it could have been a 2 or a 1. Again, I said this in the preview, he's playing too much football, way too much football. People forget also he's playing as a wing back. You're playing against a fullback and a winger. He's playing against Timber and Saka. And then Saka gets injured. They put Martinelli. I'm not Martinelli's biggest fan, by the way. I don't think he's of great quality, but he had fresh legs. He's quick. Normally, Martinelli plays on the left, and he always cuts in on his right. I think he should be playing on the right because he has no left foot. And then, as you see, gets to the byline, crosses it in. Jesus gets, I think that's the 3rd goal for that Martinelli beats Mitchell. He had a torrid time all day. Again, he's not really having much help on the ball. 3. What more can you say?
Yeah, same way for me. Gave him a 3 basically for the assist, but he just looked out of sorts. You're right, he's definitely tired. We can go over again a million times. We need a left back, we need a left wing back, etc. Give him a rest. He needs it. On my main concern was the marking, and I mentioned to you during pre-show. I'll get into it real quick. I didn't understand why he's on the right side on that first goal, and then normally I do a deep rewatch. I couldn't do that. I just watched the highlights. And what happened was that was a free kick by Odegaard when Miles Lewis-Skelly was fouled at midfield. And then for some reason, I don't know why. I mean, that's obviously a tactical thing. He and Klein switch sides. So when that happens, Gabriel blocks him off on the shot, and then no one's marking Jesus. So I didn't understand that. So Let's move on. Let's move on to Nathaniel Klein.
Yeah.
Now I'll go first. We talk about TV show about whether we should call the scorer. I'm really glad he played scorer. As bad as Klein played yesterday, I don't know what Falk could have done any better. But
No.
Klein yesterday was just all over the place. Don't know where he was again. I found out where he was for the first goal. I just mentioned that. He did have a good cross from Mateta on a headed chance, but he turned his back on the second goal. He just was out of position a lot too much of the time. Just really had a poor game. I don't want to get into the stats. It's not even worth bringing up his stats. But what are your thoughts on Kleiny?
On the ratings for what was the last game for the Arsenal 3-2, I clearly stated I don't want these players playing because, like I said, I saw Nathaniel Klein break out in 2009. I loved him then. He was unbelievable. These players we shouldn't have to be given ratings on Klein in general. He shouldn't be on the pitch. We have players, as well as Jeffrey Schlupp will get into the subs later. These players shouldn't be on the pitch. I felt bad giving them a 2, but they are not. They can't perform at this level. He's just about a championship lower championship fullback. Even then, I'd probably say his next move might even be like a top League One club. What I can only expect a 2 out of 10 from Klein. That's all I can expect.
That's fair enough. I mean, yeah, let's move on. Chris Richards, I gave him a 4. You gave him a 3. Why don't you go first on Chris Richards?
It would have been a 4, but I think it was the 4th goal. He really annoyed me when he tried to anticipate a ball going into, I think, someone wide, and he fully committed, and they just played it inside, and then it ended up being a goal. Do you remember
Martinelli,
that?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Martinelli,
And it was like he just overcommitted, and I was just like, Jesus. I think that tipped me over the edge to take him down to a 3. Like I said, him personally, it wasn't a terrible performance, but you could see taking Chalobah out, they wasn't as used to each other. He battled hard. He was brave in that sense, but he's not great on the ball. He's not a great ball playing defender. He's not rubbish at it, but he's not great. I think it was a tough match to throw him in. When Glasner said he's earned his spot, I'd be like, why did you have to throw me into that game? But yeah, 3 to me is just the same level as Mitchell.
Yeah, I only gave him a 4. I thought passing was okay. Again, this is more stats more than eye test. 88% on the passing, 6 clearances, 4 recoveries. But you're right. He gave him actually on the second goal. He gave away that corner. I don't think he had to give it out. I think he was trying to shoot the ball out of play, and I think Martinelli knocked it off of him, which I didn't have to do. And I think I made a mistake. I think it might have been Jesus actually on that. Are you talking about the Rice goal?
I think it was the 4th or the 5th goal.
The Martinelli goal, yeah.
He goes because obviously there's trigger presses and he thinks it's going out wide and he overcommits straight away. I said any good top level midfielder who's on the ball is going to see that straight away and play it in behind. So it's like, to me, that's lazy defending as well.
Yeah, I think, but again, I think it was actually on Jesus. I think Martinelli scored the goal. So it was actually on Jesus. You're right. That wasn't good. But again, I didn't have a problem with him starting because again, we had to fresh up the side. You had no Munoz and you had no Ebbs right away. And for me, out of the 3, Lacroix or Guehi or Chalobah had probably the poorest game against Arsenal in the cup. Switch it up is fine, but again, it just on that just overall defensively, everyone was poor, so no one could get good rating. So we move on. Let's move on to Maxence Lacroix. I thought the best of our 3 centre halves. I gave him a 5. You gave him a 5. I think he was solid, man. I don't think I watched it. Would like to give him a higher, but when you concede 5 goals, you can't give anybody higher than the number of goals that were conceded, basically, right? I mean, 88% passing, 78 touches, 5 clearances, 5 recoveries. Kept Martinelli on side bow and slipped for the 4th goal. Remember that one that came in? I think it was But I don't think he played a poor game. It's just that the fact that overall defensively we were so out of shape. And my question to you actually is going to be is, J2 scores 3 goals in the cup game, 2 yesterday. Who's marking him?
That's what I was about to say. Even the Havertz goal. Why is Jesus getting a header in the box? It wasn't even like a exceptional cross from Martinelli. He's just hit an area, but that area should be covered by our centre halves. Me and you, Pat, we're quite similar in the sense that we knew what Arsenal were going to bring today, and I'm not going to bash these players because they've done well in recent form, and we came up against a fresh top team. So I think as much as they were physically tired, I think they were mentally tired, because when you play these top teams, you have to be physically switched on. There's no time for lapses in concentration or not being in the right positions, and it just all went wrong in our own box and our own third yesterday. But I'm willing to accept it and move on.
100%. And we'll get into what Nick and I used to jokingly call scapegoats when we get to Kamada, but we'll do that in a bit. But let's go to Mark Guehi. I gave him a 4. You gave him a 4. Again, I like to give him higher, but I'll let you go first. I don't think he played that poorly, but again, we gave up 5 goals. So why don't you go first on Guehi?
Yeah, I just gave him a 4 because I thought Lacroix was the best of the 3, and so I just gave him 1 below, and I thought he was 1 higher than Richards. Conceded 5, really. Saves, let him 5 goals. But again, still, I love watching him. Love the fact that he can go right or left. Mitchell wasn't on form today. When Mitchell's not playing well and not confident, it handicaps Guehi a bit, because our passing patterns are Guehi into the midfielder or Guehi into Mitchell. So if that's not working, it kind of breaks down a bit. But like I said, man, Guehi's the captain. All faith that against Bournemouth he'll be back to 7-8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, 79% passing accuracy, completed 3 dribbles, the most of anybody on the team. 80 touches, 9 out of 9 ground duels won. 3 out of 5 aerial duels won. I mean, I don't know, he couldn't have played much better, but because again, defensively we were just so poor. It's a real shame, because like I said, I'm the same with you. I gave Richard the lowest because I thought it was the poorest, Lacroix the highest, I thought it was the best, but Lacroix and Guehi were close. I think maybe on the first game he might have turned his back, but it's such a quick snapshot by Jesus. What's he supposed to do? But I mean, I don't think he played poorly, but 5 goals, man. We're going to get into that. Let's do it into it now, actually, Lou. If you were to watch that game and just look at the stats, that's never a 5-1 match. I mean, we talked about it in our chat. I'll give you the stats real quick because we're halfway through the ratings. Possession, Palace 42%, Arsenal 58%. XG, Palace 1.59, Arsenal 2.87, and they scored 5 goals. Palace 15 shots on goal, Arsenal 14 shots on goal. Big chances for Palace 3, big chances for Arsenal 5. I mean, the stats say it's a 3-2 Arsenal game, 3-1 Arsenal. It's never a 5-1 game ever. So that's also frustrating. And then even some of the player stats you look at were decent, but again, we conceded 5 goals. So it just looks so, and it's just bad overall.
Yeah, it's a bad day at the office. Fans are quick to forget that last Sunday we were 3-1 at our biggest rivals and everything was good, and everyone loves Glasner and everyone's praising all the players, and one bad game after 3 games in 6 days, and then another 2 games coming up, people getting abused, people saying that people aren't fit for purpose. It's crazy to me, and very reactionary and emotional. Sometimes we just need to take a step back and realize the bigger picture. And to me, this is a reality check for the board and the team that we are playing above. Glasner's getting more out of the team than he should be, and if anything, this is going to make the deals happen quicker in January.
I hope you're right. Let's move on to our central midfield too. We'll do. I gave Hughes a 6. So did you. I just think that playing against the midfield that involves Martin Odegaard is going to make your life miserable. And I just thought he's tired. I gave him a 6. He had 91% passing, created 2 chances, had 1 shot on goal. But I just thought he and Lerma, you could tell, man, that you said before, 3 goals, 3 games in 6 days. They're just tired. And the only issue I would have was to rotate. But again, and we'll talk into Decore later on, Decore just not ready. So to put him in that midfield yesterday would have made it worse. So I gave him a 6. Again, I don't think he did anything really poor. He was subbed off after like 60-something minutes to get a little bit of rest. But what are your thoughts on Will Hughes?
I thought Hughes played well. Hughes has set a standard for himself this season that he keeps hitting, and you can only be happy when a player constantly hits that standard that he sets for himself. I thought he was, out of all the players on the pitch, he was probably the most. He looked after the ball the most. He didn't waste it. He didn't give it away cheaply. He battled hard. I thought Lerma was really poor on the ball yesterday, but we'll get onto him after. 6 out of 10, but still he was dominated in midfield. we looked quite leggy in transitions. So a lot of the time, Arsenal were getting into our final third, and it just looked like sometimes you'd see Lerma and Hughes running back, and they just look like their legs are gone. So 6 out of 10, he done what he could. Couldn't really do any more.
You know what? I'm gonna amend my Lerma rating because you're right. He did have a poor game. I actually originally gave him a 5. I'm gonna give him a 4. You gave him a 4.5. So it's not a big difference. But when you go, because I thought he was poor on the ball too yesterday. Why don't you go through what Lerma did yesterday?
I always say when we play against big teams, we always say ball retention is so key because if you give the ball away quickly to top teams, 2-3 minutes later you would have not touched the ball again. You're going to be moving left to right. When you get the ball, sometimes that's the moment where you get your breath back, you get your shape back. And I think 3 or 4 times he played square passes in the middle of the pitch that just ended up in transitions. I think that was a game too far. But yet again, we don't have someone else that can come in. Again, it's the lack of depth, the poor recruitment, injuries. But I'm not going to bash Lerma because he was unbelievable against Brighton. He was good against Arsenal in the week. So I'm not going to sit here and bash our players. Like, it's just not what I'm going to do. But yeah, it was a poor showing from him. He didn't get a yellow card, and he's on 4 yellow cards, which was... Did he get a yellow card? I don't think he got a yellow.
Don't see one here, no. Let me just
okay, good, because he's on 4 yellows, and he would have been banned for Bournemouth, which would have been an issue. So well done there for not losing his head and getting a yellow, because he easily could have. Like I said, I'm willing to wipe this game clean. Bad day at the office, but yeah, it was a poor performance.
Yeah, I won't go too much into Lerma too. The only yellow card quickly was Klein, but you're right, didn't get the yellow card. Is that you and I listen to a lot of the same podcasts, and one of the podcasts I listened yesterday talked about how the running needed by our midfield 2 is phenomenal under Glasner, and you're right, having Hughes and Lerma having to do that much running in the 3 games in 6 matches is too much, and it was too much. You could tell. Again, recruitment has been poor, but I can't believe we would have thought that we would have lost Wharton and Decore at the same time and not have them, because that leaves you with just 2 players to play in there and have that running. So hopefully that gets addressed or they come back soon, but we need them. Let's move on to what I would call the scapegoat of Crystal Palace right now, and that would be Daichi Kamada. I gave him a 5 and you gave him a 4. Now, I called him the scapegoat. Again, Nick and I used to have to call people that we had one time we were doing the Back of the Nest podcast, and some listener sent in a comment, and he typed in a scapegoat. And I always find that, which is obviously the wrong term, I always find that Palace fans need a scapegoat. If it's not, for me personally, I used to have Wayne Hennessy. Whenever we lost a game, I always blame Wayne Hennessy. I didn't care what happened. We talked about Jeffrey Schlupp in the past. Jordan Ayew has been a scapegoat in the past. We can go back and back, even further back, way back. But for me, that game yesterday is not a game to kill Daichi Kamada for. One, he had to play. I'm not saying don't criticize him because he had to play, but Ebbs could not play, and Ketcher is not a 10. We see he's playing better as a striker. I just think that he wasn't involved in the game, but I don't know what people expect him to do yesterday. I thought there were points when he was trying to track Odegaard, which if you watch the game yesterday, again, I'm not going to, but Odegaard dropping into the back 4, right back, left back to collect the ball, and Kamada was trying to go with him. He was trying to press when Sarr and Mateta were pressing. He didn't have that poor of a game, but I heard mostly in our group chat, because I don't go on social media, so much criticism of Kamada, and I don't get it. But again, I gave him the rating that I gave him. But what are your thoughts on Kamada yesterday? I don't think he was that bad.
I don't think he was great. Though he got in a few threatening positions, and you could just see that confidence isn't really there. There was a big left foot swing in the first half that went about 50 yards high and wide. But he was doing a few things that I wish Ebbs would do. Is like maybe just 5-10 yard passes, keep the ball moving, don't slow it down. Again, you're asking Kamada to come in with a weakened team, fatigued team against Arsenal, where we're going direct, because a lot of the balls were going into Mateta. We weren't playing through the lines. So it's another scapegoat. I already said I'm not going to jump on a bandwagon of players, especially new players who are still bedding in. I think he's a good player. I hope he can come good. I don't even want to stay on the subject because I don't want to give it too much light because it's everyone's going to come in. Oh, he's a waste of money. He's the highest paid player. He's this and that. So he was just as bad, just as bad as everyone else. He wasn't great, wasn't good, but he was at the level that the whole team was at, basically. And he definitely wasn't the worst.
No, 100% wasn't. Moving on to Ismail Assar, who I thought was the best yesterday by far. Really worked hard. I gave him a 7. You gave him a 6.5. Why don't you go first on Sarr?
Yeah, Sarr's in really good form. He was really dangerous. He looked strong. He looked better holding up the ball yesterday. I would have given him a 7, but 2 big chances missed at critical times. I know that can be a bit harsh, but we needed him in those moments. And it was the first goal wasn't even I wouldn't say it was a big chance. It was a great finish. I don't even think the XG would have been that high. Right in the bottom corner. I feel like he was giving Gabriel problems all game. First half, I thought him and Mateta were giving both of them a really tough time. But I think those 2 misses at the start of the second half, that's what killed us a bit. I think if we got it to 3-2, Arsenal might have crumbled a little bit. But after he missed those 2 chances, everything started drying up a bit. We lost confidence. They got one. It was always the next goal was going to be so important. And I would have given him a 7, 7.5 if maybe converted. Probably 8 if he'd scored us 2 goals, but maybe 6.5 is harsh. He was our best player, but yeah, those big chances missed was a turning point in the game.
I understand that. I thought the goal was very well taken, and I want to give credit to Mitchell. He got an assist. I mean, he only just passed because I made the run, but I got to give Mitchell a little credit for you get the assist on that goal. Got to mention that during this, but no, the goal so well taken. It hit the same way he scored the second goal last against Brighton. The way he hits the ball and curls it around the keeper. Underrated skill as a striker. People think that's easy to do, but it's a great finish. You're absolutely right about the 2 chances, the ones that Mateta created for him. But remember also, at 2-1, he creates a great chance for Mateta. He's pressing in the box, turns it over, gives it to Mateta on the plate. Mateta misses. At 2-2 is a different game.
Yeah.
So I want to give him a little credit for that. But you're right. Those chances could have turned the game. But he worked so hard yesterday. I thought he just helped to create chances for us. And he was really our main. Mateta too a little bit, but he was our main. Like if it was someone who scored yesterday again, it would have been him. But I thought he played really well. He's coming to his own. I really like the way that he's playing of late, and I just hope he continues because we need him to do that. Let's move on to last of our starting 11. That's Jean-Philippe Mateta. I gave him a 6. You gave him a 5.5. I'll go first. Hold up play I thought was very good. Help press, Sarr, but that chance that he missed was a big miss, the 2-1 miss. But again, later on, you made the point. Second half, he created that chance for Sarr, the shot that's parried to Sarr for the header, could have scored. He was fouled 3 times, which is the most of anybody. Didn't have a lot of touches, but I thought he worked really hard. I mean, I'm going to go back to again. Arsenal are good. You may not like to hear that. You may not like it, but Gabriel and Saliba are 2 of the best centre halves in our league for sure. Maybe even Europe. Saliba's one of the best players in Europe, the world. And he did a good job of making them work. So I thought he played well yesterday, but again, it's a 5-1 loss. People look for the negative, but I thought, in a very negative game, Mateta and Sarr worked hard and played well. What about you?
Do you know what? I thought Mateta was really, really good in that first half. I thought he gave Saliba problems, and not many people can hold off Saliba and Gabriel. His hold-up play was great.
Yep.
His strength, he was bringing other people in, but we didn't have the willing runners to run in behind. We couldn't transition up the pitch. So all that hard work felt like it wasn't really coming of anything. And yeah, that big chance missed was massive. I think if we get it to 2-2, I think Saka just comes off there as well. It changes the game completely. I think he kind of thought he was offside, and it was just one of those casual finishes. When players sometimes is like,
yeah, it's a good point.
It's like he didn't really know. It's like, how have I got in this position? And normally he tucks them away when he's got less time. And it was on his left foot. He's a great finisher with his left foot, by the way. He's both feet. He's good at finishing with. I thought he was going to tuck it away. So I thought his hold-up play was great. Second half, I'd say everything up to 60 minutes was good. Then the game ran away from us. But yeah, I was happy with his performance. If he can replicate that against Bournemouth and Southampton, I'm sure he can get a goal or contribute.
I agree. The subs. Now I'm gonna do a little differently this time, Louis. I'm gonna just give our ratings. If you want to talk about any of the subs, you can. I don't really have anything to say. I mean, I will say a little bit about Decore, but on anybody else. So, and Kit, I gave a 5. You gave him a 4.5. Decore, I gave a 4. You gave a 4 also. Deveni got a 5 for me, and you. I didn't give Schluffer Kapora any rating. You gave. Sorry to laugh. You gave Schluffy a 0. So. Let me just talk quickly about Decore. Would love to see him start, but clearly he's not ready to start. I mean, I read a comment yesterday. What's wrong with Check Decore? I'm going to say it. He had an Achilles injury a year ago, and I don't think you can come back from an Achilles within a year. Lucky I've never had one, but I had mates that I played with who had one, and they take a long time to come back from. So people expected to Check Decore pre-Achilles are dreaming. He might be that player towards the end of the season if we're lucky. And hopefully will be by the beginning of next season, but he's just not ready to come back. So I don't know what people expect from Decore, and I now know why Glasner's doing the right thing and taking his time and bringing him back. So that's my only thought on Decore. I thought Nketiah worked hard, but really couldn't do much, and I thought the Venny would just kind of in the game. I had no comment on Schlupp or Kapora. Kapora got in nice. I would like to see Agboni getting on besides Schlupp instead of Schlupp actually, but that aside, no comment. But your comments on the sub if you want to speak on anybody in particular.
Yeah, Check Decore. If anyone knows from my generation, a player called Adriano. Yeah, he was the next biggest thing after Ronaldo. Even people said he would be better than Ronaldo. Do you know what injury he had that ruined his career?
Yeah.
A ruptured Achilles. Exactly, I do not think people know what a ruptured Achilles does to you. It changes your whole, and you get injuries in your calf and your hamstring and your mind.
Yeah.
You pull out of tackles. Your lateral movement changes. Your spring, your sprints. People think they're going to get this £80 million player back straight away. That's just not how it works. It's not how I see people having a go at Decore. Like, what's happened to him? He's a shade of the player he used to be. Like, do people not understand the physiology of a human body?
Yeah.
And again, it's reactionary. Yeah, who else? I thought Deveni came on and looked lively. He doesn't look out of place. Okay. I like his energy. Yeah. Again, it's tough for this 21-year-old coming in and being thrown on at 4-1 down against Rice and Partey.
Yeah.
But who else? Nketiah again. He just doesn't have that physical presence that Mateta has. So he's going to struggle against people like Saliba and Gabriel. He looked like he was trying too hard. I'm happy he got his goal on Wednesday. Let's just move on from this game. And the 0 that I give for Schlupp is not for Schlupp. He is like the embodiment of what is wrong with our club at the moment. A player that should have been moved on years ago.
Fair enough. Yeah.
A player that blocks academy players. A player that is surplus to requirements. A player that can't affect a game. A player that doesn't look like he's in shape. A player that looks disinterested. And I feel like Glasner brings him on just to prove a point. As this is what I have. This is what I have.
Interesting.
And if I was Glasner, why would he bring Schlupp on with 2 minutes to go at 5-1 down? What's the point?
No point.
It's to show this is what I'm working with. This is what I have. Sort it out. Yeah. And that's why I give him a 0. Not for Schlupp himself, but what that represents.
That's fair. So let's jump into the manager. I gave him a 5 and so did you. And I'll tell you why I gave him a 5. I thought the lineup I would have been a 7 out of 10 for me because I don't have an issue with that. The changes, the way we tried to play. Sorry. The lineup, the changes are fine. Tactically, my only real issue is why are we not marking Gabriel Jesus? Like at some point, the guy scored 5 goals in like 115 minutes. I mean, that's my tactical issue. But then the subs, like you just said, I bringing on Schlupp the way he did. I definitely think he's trying to make a point with you. Bringing on the Venny, no problem. Bringing on Decore to get him some minutes in his legs. Bringing in Ketch, etc. I thought it fine, but 5 out of 10 again because we got destroyed. But I don't think there's much he could have done as a manager to really change that. I think that was just a really bad day at the office, and that's how it goes sometimes. But what are your thoughts on the manager yesterday?
Glasner's way of playing, his wing backs need to be energetic, up and down. He's got a left wing back who he's playing into the ground because he has no one else. He has a 34-year-old League One level right back or an 18-year-old who's never played. He's got 2 centre midfielders that play every single week. He's doing the best that he can. He can't stop teams, our own players making mistakes in our box. Maybe he got the corners wrong a bit. But that's a lot of teams get the corners wrong against Arsenal.
Yeah.
We did much better on Wednesday, but then, like I said in the preview, they didn't have Gabriel and Saliba playing.
Different speakers, yeah.
There you go. 5. He gets a 5 because we conceded 5, but 0. I don't put any of this on him. Like, none of this is his fault. And again, he spoke perfectly well in the post-match. He was honest. He spoke about making mistakes and how badly we defended our box. But yeah, let's just move on. Let's just get this out of the way and never speak about it again.
Yeah. If you got to the ratings, we appreciate it, Louis and I, because it's hard for us to get through. Please, if you can, drop a like, subscribe. We'll be coming back. Quick turnaround. We've got Bournemouth Boxing Day, so you'll see some content on the Bournemouth match. But that's it for me and Louis. The game's over, thankfully. Thanks again for tuning in, and up the Palace.